Chapter 46-41. Dr. Wu has now become the D family's guest physician. This is all thanks to Hong Zhuang. Diu Jue understood that Xiao Yanlong would most likely not believe him, so he directly revealed the most direct evidence. In fact, if they had not seen it with their own eyes, no one would have believed it at all. Because of Bailey Hong Zhuang, his view of the lower realm had changed. Although the cultivators in the lower realm were generally not as powerful as those in the upper realm, they still had many powerful inheritances. Otherwise, Bailey Hong Zhuang would not have such outstanding medical skills at such a young age. As soon as he said this, Xiao Yanlong understood that Diu Jue's words were true. Over the years, many families had wanted to invite Dr. Wu to be their guest physician, but Dr. Wu had never agreed. Even when he had been invited by the D family to treat Madame D's illness, he had no intention of staying in the D family. Now that he had become the D family's guest physician, there must be a reason why he was attracted. It seems that this reason was Bailey Hong Zhuang. I see. Xiao Yanlong sighed in his heart. He never thought that this young lady from the lower realm would be so powerful. Her medical skills were so outstanding that they surpassed Dr. Wu's. If this news were to spread, her name would be very famous. Brother Yu Jue, I understand what you mean. Hearing this, Diu Jue finally heaved a sigh of relief. It was good that the other party understood. He did not want to cause any more waves in this matter. Besides, Bailey Hong Zhuang was so sincere to them. He did not want anything to happen that would cause Bailey Hong Zhuang to be unhappy. After Bewitching left, he immediately rushed to Lin Yunqing's residence. Seeing him, Lin Yunqing could not help but smile. Bewitching, you're late today. A guest came to the family today, so I was delayed. Bewitching replied with a smile. He then looked at Bailey Hong Zhuang. Wife, my cousin came today. I'll introduce her to you later. Cousin? Bailey Hong Zhuang's eyes lit up as she thought of someone. Are you talking about Cousin Yi? That's right. Bewitching nodded. She's just as Big Brother said, mischievous. No wonder Big Brother can't do anything to her and can only hide. Recalling Lin Yi's appearance just now, he was a little amused. This little girl was weird, and once she started clinging to people, he could imagine how clingy she would be. But he also understood that the reason why Di Xiaofeng avoided her was because he didn't want to hurt her. Lin Yi had a simple mind and was very cute. Even if it was only the first time he met this cousin, he liked her very much. Who would have the heart to hurt such a little girl? It was a pity that the person Di Xiaofeng liked was Bailey Yunyan. Otherwise, it would be great if he could be with Lin Yi. Bailey Hong Zhuang's eyes sparkled with interest. Hearing you say so, I really want to meet this cousin. Yi has a simple mind. She is a happy person. Lin Yunqing also laughed and said, Hong Zhuang, you should become good friends with Yi. Bailey Hong Zhuang nodded slightly. I hope so too. Just as they were talking, a playful voice came in from outside the house. Aunt, are you talking about me? I heard it. Immediately afterward, the playful purple figure walked in and looked at everyone with a smile. However, without waiting for everyone to answer, she rushed to Bailey Hong Zhuang's side. Chapter 46-42. Lin Yi looked at Bailey Hong Zhuang in amazement. Her eyes were full of envy and amazement. Before I came here, I heard that second cousin-in-law is a rare beauty. You are so beautiful that you outshine the moon and put the flowers to shame. I didn't quite believe it. Now that I see you, I think what they said is true. Second cousin-in-law, how did you become so beautiful? This is so enviable. Lin Yi held Bailey Hong Zhuang with both hands. Her white face was full of envy. When she saw Xiao So before, she thought that Xiao So was quite beautiful. Now that she saw her second cousin-in-law, Xiao So was instantly crushed. No wonder second cousin disdained Xiao So. There was no comparison between the two. If it were her, she would not care about others if she had such a beautiful wife. Seeing Lin Yi's sudden series of actions, Bailey Hong Zhuang was also a little stunned. Then, a smile appeared on her face. It seemed that it was just as Bei Chen and his mother had said. Cousin Yi was indeed a happy-go-lucky person who had no shrewdness. Yi, you look like this when you come here. Don't scare your sister-in-law. Lin Yunqing smiled and shook her head. Although she was reminding Lin Yi in her words, She did not mean to reprimand her. This little girl is really cute. Lin Yi smiled. Aunt, I heard that you were not in good health before. I was worried to death. I couldn't eat well and sleep well. I just wanted to come over quickly. Fortunately, you have recovered now. How great is this? You little girl, your mouth is really sweet. Lin Yunqing looked at Lin Yi helplessly, but the smile in her eyes gradually deepened. Aunt, you are the happiest right now. Second cousin is back, and he brought such a beautiful cousin-in-law back. You just need to give birth to a cute baby. Then, you won't have any thoughts. You still understand my mind. Lin Yunqing chuckled. Now, she really only hoped that Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen could give birth to a grandson as soon as possible. Then, she would be really relieved. However, she also understood that Beichen and Hongzhuang were still young. Many children of this age had not yet married, so she did not intend to urge them. Second cousin, did you hear what Aunt said? Lin Yi raised her eyebrows. Her eyebrows were full of ridicule. Di Beichen glanced at Lin Yi helplessly and said, You are an unmarried girl. Are not ashamed to talk about this kind of thing. Hee hee, Lin Yunqing, Lin Yi laughed dryly. I am doing this for your own good. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the completely familiar Lin Yi, and her heart was also amused. She was indeed a lovely and wonderful person. Second cousin-in-law, it's okay for second cousin to stand on big cousin's side. You must stand on my side. Lin Yi looked at Bailey Hongzhuang pitifully. I just came here, and big cousin is hiding. Second cousin refuses to tell me where he is. Just tell me. I promise that as long as you tell me, I will be your informant in the future. I will definitely help you keep an eye on him. As soon as these words came out, Di Beichen's face turned black. It is useless if you have this idea on your second cousin. Beichen is very good to Hongzhuang. How can he have any secrets from her? Lin Yunqing knew Lin Yi's naughty temperament early on, so she was not angry. She just directly broke her fantasy. Chapter 46-43. But this is also true. Second cousin-in-law is so beautiful and capable. It would be strange if second cousin doesn't love her to the bone. Lin Yi muttered to herself. Although her voice was low, Di Beichen and the other two people present could hear it. Second cousin-in-law, please help me. Lin Yi pleaded, It's not easy for me to come here. If I can't see big cousin, it will be a pity. Bailey Hongzhuang had also heard Di Beichen mention the matter between Lin Yi and Di Xiaofeng before. Seeing this scene at this moment, she understood in her heart. She looked at Di Beichen with some embarrassment. In this case, if she helped Yi, she would betray her elder brother. But it was really difficult to refuse Yi's expression. Di Beichen chuckled, If your second cousin-in-law tells you, it will be a great meeting gift for you. You have to treat your second cousin-in-law well in the future. Hearing this, Lin Yi nodded repeatedly and promised, No problem. Second cousin-in-law will be my sister in the future. I will definitely protect her. Di Beichen showed a satisfied look and said to Bailey Hongzhuang, Wife, then you tell her. Looking at Di Beichen's expression, Bailey Hongzhuang was also surprised. When she saw Lin Yun's faint smile, she said, Cousin Yi, you can go back with us later. Lin Yi's eyes lit up, and she smiled happily. Okay. It turned out that big cousin was at second cousin's residence. On the way back, Bailey Hongzhuang walked beside Di Beichen with doubts in her eyes. Beichen, is it okay to tell Yi where big brother is? This is big brother's own emotional debt. Let him solve it himself. Even if you don't tell her just now, Yi will pester mother to tell her. Instead of this, it's better for you to tell her. After all, you are her second cousin-in-law. It's only right to give you a gift. Di Beichen said with a faint smile. Bailey Hongzhuang had a look of understanding on her face. She understood that Di Beichen was right. Given how much her mother doted on Yi and how she had hoped that her elder brother would become a couple with Yi, the possibility of her telling her was too high. However, big brother had just warned him yesterday, yet he was betrayed today. Presumably, his expression would be very interesting later. After returning to the courtyard, Lin Yi approached Bailey Hongzhuang. Second cousin-in-law, where is big cousin? Bailey Hongzhuang quietly pointed to a house not far away. You can look over there. Thank you, second cousin-in-law? Lin Yi smiled. Just after Lin Yi left, Di Beichen took Bailey Hongzhuang into the cultivation house and hung a sign outside. In closed-door cultivation, do not disturb. Next, I will leave it to Big Brother to deal with it himself. He always has to pay for his romantic debt. After Di Beichen left, Xiao Soa had no intention of continuing to hang out with Lin Yi. She was only interested in Di Beichen. She had no interest in the Di family's environment. Therefore, she just walked for a while and left with the excuse that she wanted to rest. Not long after, Xiao Yanlong also came back. Seeing that Xiao Soa had come back, he was a little surprised, but he did not ask. So, Di Beichen is married. Do you know that? Asked Xiao Yanlong. Xiao Soa nodded slightly. I just found out. Chapter 46-44. Listening to Xiao Yanlong's words, Xiao Soa also fell into silence. She understood that at this point she should indeed give up, but for some reason her heart was unwilling to do so. What was so outstanding about her that Di Beichen didn't even bother to look at her? That woman is just a woman from the lower realm. Just ask the Di family to divorce her. Xiao Soa frowned. She didn't care about Di Beichen's past, but that woman was no longer worthy of Di Beichen. Xiao Yanlong waved his hand. No, Diu Jue is obviously protecting that woman. From his attitude, I can see that he will definitely not give up on Bailey Hongzhuang. In fact, if the Di family was willing to give up on Bailey Hongzhuang, then as soon as he proposed this, he would have already made up his mind. Now that he said such words, Diu Jue still refused, which proved that in their eyes, Bailey Hongzhuang was definitely not just a girl from the lower realm. The Di family actually values her so much? Xiao Soa found it hard to believe. She understood the status of the lower realm's cultivators in the upper realm too well. The Di family was willing to accept Bailey Hongzhuang. She felt that this woman was quite capable. She just thought that Di Beichen liked her very much. She didn't expect that this woman could make the Di family accept her from the bottom of their hearts. This was not easy. Yes. Xiao Yanlong nodded. This is not a simple girl. Her medical skills are very outstanding. It is said that she is even more outstanding than Dr. Wu Weiming. Just based on this point alone, her value is already not low. Although doctors were not as noble as alchemists, they were also suitable to be treated with respect. No matter what profession, once they reached the peak, they would be respected by everyone. Bailey Hongzhuang was young, but her medical skills had already reached such a level, there was no need to talk about her future achievements. So, let's just forget about this matter. Xiao Yanlong shook his head. Since things had already come to this, there was no point in continuing the conversation. Father, didn't the family have a secret method in the past? The blood of our family and the blood of the Di family can open up that place? Under such circumstances, why would the Di family refuse? Xiao Soa felt a little strange. Also, Father, why did you arrange for me to marry Di Beichen and not Di Xiaofeng? No matter how one looked at it, Di Xiaofeng was the eldest son of the Di family. Logically speaking, Di Xiaofeng should be more suitable. Regarding this point, she had always been somewhat puzzled. The Di family has always had a kind of inheritance. Every few generations, there will be a member of the Di family with the cursed body. Only those who cultivated the cursed physique had a chance of opening that place. Because of this, that place had not been opened for many years. When Di Beichen was born, the whole Di family was very happy, and I also wanted to bring you two together. The cursed physique does not seem good, but in fact, it is an extraordinary talent. Now that Di Beichen has just returned, you may not be able to see how powerful he is. Once his Di family's blood is activated, his progress will be very frightening. Saying this, Xiao Yanlong waved his hand and said, the inheritance of that year has become weaker and weaker, and the possibility of opening it again is very small. Chapter 46-45. Hearing Xiao Yanlong's words, Xiao Soa finally understood. Actually, she had not been very familiar with this matter. She had only heard about it. Di Beichen had been missing for so many years and almost everyone was certain that he would never return. Therefore, when she was in the Xiao family, no one had mentioned this matter in front of her. Now that she had met Di Beichen again, she wanted to clarify the matter. I see. Xiao Soa nodded. That inheritance must be very powerful, right? That's right. It's because of that inheritance that our four great families have been able to stand tall and hold our current position. However, as time passes, it becomes more and more difficult to obtain this inheritance. It's a good thing that the four great families have stabilized their position in the upper realm. Even if we can't obtain the inheritance's power, it won't affect our position. Speaking of this inheritance, Xiao Yanlong could not help but sigh. If they could unlock that inheritance, it was very likely that it would allow their family to advance further. However, it was simply too difficult now. Father, you've said that my bloodline is the purest in the family in all these years. Bewitching also has the cursed body. If our bloodlines merge, perhaps we can unlock it? Xiao Yanlong pondered and nodded. That's not impossible. It's been a long time since a cultivator with the cursed body has appeared in the D family. Bewitching had left the family for so many years and was still able to return alive. His luck is already very good. Perhaps it really is possible. Xiao Sou's eyes lit up. Father, if you raise this point, will they still be unwilling to give up on that woman from the lower realm? Seeing Xiao Sou's expression, Xiao Yanlong sighed in his heart. It looks like his daughter has really fallen in love with Bewitching at first sight. If this had been any other day, Xiao Sou would have flatly rejected this condition without the need for him to raise it. However, now that things have come to this point, Xiao Sou was still somewhat stubborn. The head of the D family has known about this for a long time, but his attitude is still the same. In my opinion, they will not give up. Xiao Yanlong's voice was firm. He had interacted with Du Jue for so many years, so he was very familiar with the latter's temperament. The other party's attitude made it clear that he would never give up. Although he was also shocked by this point, he did not want this to affect the relationship between the two sides. Say Wu, let's forget about this matter. If you really like Bewitching, you don't have to be in a hurry. Bewitching has just returned to the D family. He doesn't understand the difference between the sons of aristocratic families. When he sees the wider sky and understands that the woman beside him is not worthy of him, he will choose to give up. Xiao Yanlong said with certainty. He was very confident in this point. What's more, although Bewitching is handsome, there is still a certain gap between his strength and yours. You can give up on him and find a better match. In his heart, his daughter was the best. However, now that the other party was unwilling to choose his daughter, he was already unhappy. Naturally, he did not want his daughter to beg to be with the other party. With their status, there was no need for them to do this. Seeing that Xiao Yanlong had spoken to this point, Xiao Sou also understood what he meant. I understand, father. Chapter 46-46. Seeing that his daughter finally understood, Xiao Yanlong also breathed a sigh of relief. Today, his proposal was rejected. He already felt humiliated. If his daughter still insisted on being with Bewitching, it would be really embarrassing. Fortunately, his daughter also understood this. What's more, Bewitching would know sooner or later that Xiao Sou was definitely not comparable to a woman from the underworld. When Bailey Hongzhuang and Bewitching were cultivating in the cultivation room, Lin Yi had already found Di Xiaofeng. When Di Xiaofeng opened the door and saw Lin Yi looking at him with a smile, his heart thumped. He immediately understood that he was probably betrayed. Otherwise, even if Lin Yi's ability to find people was very powerful, it was impossible to find him so quickly. Big cousin, why do you retreat every time I come? Lin Yi pouted and looked at Di Xiaofeng pitifully. Are you deliberately avoiding me? Di Xiaofeng smiled and waved his hand. How can it be? It's just that I happen to have some insights recently, so I want to retreat. Then you haven't gone into retreat yet, right? Lin Yi blinked. It just so happens that I'm here. You can accompany me. I think you should also cultivate well. How strong is the competition now? Once you slack off, other cultivators will easily overtake you. Di Xiaofeng said seriously. I'm not here to play this time. I'm just here to find grandfather and grandmother. Big cousin, it's rare for me to come here. You won't be unwilling to accompany me, right? Lin Yi blinked and asked. Di Xiaofeng forced a smile. Of course not. I know that big cousin won't avoid me. Lin Yi smiled brightly. By the way, the people from the Xiao family came just now. I think Xiao So fell in love with second cousin at first sight. As soon as these words came out, Di Xiaofeng was slightly stunned. Xiao So fell in love with Beichen at first sight? Yeah. Lin Yi nodded. According to my previous understanding, Xiao So has always been very arrogant, but her performance just now obviously shows that she is interested in second cousin. Unfortunately, the falling flower has feelings for the heartless brook. Second cousin only has second cousin-in-law in his heart. Xiao So has been famous all these years, and there are many outstanding men pursuing her. To think that she would see Beichen in a different light. It seemed that Beichen's charm was not to be underestimated. I remember that Beichen and Xiao So still have a marriage contract. This matter shouldn't have caused such a stir, right? Di Xiaofeng frowned, and there was a hint of worry between his brows. It would be troublesome if more problems arose from this matter. Then I don't know. Lin Yi said slowly, if there is something, uncle should say it, right? Let's see how it goes later. Emperor Xiaofeng said thoughtfully. By the way, Yi, why did you come to look for grandfather and the others? It's for the Immortal Cloud secret realm that opens once every 10 years. Now it's not far from the opening of the Immortal Cloud secret realm. On the one hand, the family has to fight for the quota. On the other hand, they should also choose their disciples to participate. I came here this time to see second cousin-in-law, and aunt. On the other hand, I'm looking for grandfather to go back and preside over the overall situation. Chapter 46-47. The next day, when Diyu talked to Xiao Yanlong again, he felt that the other party's attitude was less enthusiastic and had become much colder. Feeling this, Diyu felt a little helpless. This situation was also within his expectations. After all, Xiao So was currently the most popular young person in the Xiao family and was also Xiao Yanlong's treasure. The other party wanted to be with Beichen but was rejected by him. It was normal for him to be unhappy. Head of the Di family, I'm here today to bid farewell to you. The once-in-a-decade Immortal Cloud secret territory is about to open and I need to go back to take care of it. I won't disturb you any longer. Seeing that Xiao Yanlong had even changed the way he addressed him, Diyu sighed. Facing the other party's attitude, he was also helpless. He could only hope that Xiao Yanlong would be able to cool down after a while. Originally, he had planned to discuss the Immortal Cloud secret territory with the other party. However, from the other party's attitude, he could tell that he did not want to talk to him anymore. As for discussing, there was no need to talk about it. When he thought of this, Diyu didn't say anything else. He only said a few words to persuade him to stay. Seeing that the other party had already made up his mind, he did not say anything more. After knowing the situation, Di Linxian also sighed. Forget it. This situation is also within our expectations. Although Xiao Yanlong is unhappy now, he might be fine after a while. When the time comes, we can send some gifts over. It shouldn't have too much of an impact. I had already guessed that this matter would be a little troublesome. I thought that it was good that Xiao So did not like Beichen. It saved us a lot of trouble. I didn't expect that she would like Beichen. It's really surprising. Xiao Wanrong could not help but sigh. Her precious grandson's charm was really unstoppable. In my opinion, head of the Xiao family's attitude is only a little colder. However, he did not fall out because of this. This proves that there is still room for negotiation. Don't worry too much. Diyu nodded slightly. Actually, I'm not worried about this matter. I'm just worried about the inheritance. The Xiao family is currently dissatisfied with us. If the Jun family were to take advantage of this, it would be very disadvantageous for us. This was what he was most worried about. The Jun family had been eyeing the Di family covetously all these years. Moreover, he felt that the Jun family had something to do with the assassination of Beichen and Xiaofeng. Therefore, he felt that the Jun family had been brewing a big conspiracy for all these years. Although he hadn't found any evidence yet, his premonition was getting stronger. Now that there was a rift between the Di family and the Xiao family, with the Jun family's personality, they would definitely try their best to take advantage of it. Hearing Diyu's words, everyone's expression turned grave. The Jun family's development in recent years is indeed not to be underestimated. We do have to be on our guard. Di Lin Xian's gaze was deep. He had been observing the changes in the Jun family over the years. In fact, the Jun family had been eyeing them covetously for a long time. However, they had been limited by their strength, so they had been holding back. In recent years, they had become more and more arrogant. They had to be on their guard. This time, in the Immortal Cloud's secret realm, we have to do our best. We can't lose to the Jun family. Diyu Jue said in a deep voice. Chapter 46-48. Following Yunishan's words, Diyu Jue and Di Lin Xian's expressions turned ugly. Alchemist Qin, who they recruited, was originally our guest. Alchemist Qin had already agreed to our conditions. Who would have thought that the Jun family would take advantage of the time when we were looking for Bewitching to make Alchemist Qin agree to help them participate in the alchemy competition? Diyu Jue's expression was ugly, and his pitch-black eyes were filled with haze. The Immortal Cloud's secret territory, which opened once every 10 years, was a very good opportunity for the younger generation. If they could obtain some treasures and opportunities inside, it was very possible for them to improve greatly. Therefore, the competition for the slots was very intense every time. As an aristocratic family of the upper realm, they had a fixed number of 5 slots. Apart from that, the other slots had to be obtained through competitions. Although the Di family had alchemists, there were not many of them who were of a high grade. They only had 2 7th-grade alchemists. The slots for the Immortal Cloud's secret territory were very important. Every time it opened, many forces would fight for it. Therefore, they were sure that there would be 8th-grade alchemists and even 9th-grade alchemists participating. 9th-grade alchemists were very rare. According to their judgment, as long as they could invite an 8th-grade alchemist, they were confident that they would be able to obtain a good ranking and obtain a certain number of slots. Originally, they had invited Alchemist Qin and the 2 7th-grade alchemists of the family. It was already set in stone that they would obtain a certain number of slots. They did not expect such a change to occur. The most despicable thing was that if Alchemist Qin had said that he would not help them earlier, they would have had time to invite other alchemists. However, Alchemist Qin had waited until shortly before the opening of the Immortal Cloud's secret territory to suddenly tell them, catching them off guard. He did not need to think to know that this was a scheme of the Jun family. They had definitely discussed this with Alchemist Qin in order to trick them. In fact, the other party's scheme had indeed succeeded. Although he had tried to contact a few alchemists these days, everyone had basically already made an appointment. They could not find anyone at all. In that case, things are indeed troublesome. Lin Wenlan frowned. My Lin family has invited an 8th-grade alchemist, but he has just become one not long ago. I'm afraid that he can't compare to other alchemists of the same grade who have already become one. If we can obtain a slot, we will give some to you. We'll see when the time comes. You also need a slot. Di Lin Xian sighed. Although a newly promoted 8th-grade alchemist had a high chance of obtaining a slot, it was still very difficult to obtain a large number of slots. The Lin family had a large number of their younger generation had a large number of slots was needed. Originally, when Clan Head Xiao came, he wanted to discuss with them whether or not they could use something to exchange for a spot. After all, their clan already has an 8th-grade alchemist. But now it's no use. Lin. Xia Wanrong felt that it was a pity. In the current situation, they really could not think of any solution. They were really helpless. Seeing that, they all felt helpless in their hearts. There was truly nothing they could do. Chapter 46-49. Hearing Di Lin Xian's words, everyone fell into silence. It was obvious that Di Lin Xian was prepared for the worst. In fact, at this point, there was really no other way. Lin Wenlan was also helpless. He wanted to help Di Lin Xian, but he was afraid that he didn't have the strength to do so. Right now, he could only wait for the alchemy competition to see how things go. If his new alchemist could get a good result and get a quota, then he would give some to the Di family. However, he wasn't too optimistic about this situation. If there were only 5 quotas, then they could only follow Di Lin Xian's method of distribution. If there were too few quotas, it would be difficult to get a better harvest. These 2 days, Bailey Hongzhuang clearly felt that the situation in the family was a little strange because she could vaguely see some people whispering, but she couldn't hear what they were talking about. Master, these people's expressions have been strange recently. Did something happen? Why don't you say anything when you get close? Xiao He was confused. She also felt that the situation was a little strange recently. Bailey Hongzhuang shook her head. I think it might have something to do with me. If not, these people wouldn't have stopped talking when they saw her. But, Master, you haven't done anything recently? Xiao He didn't understand. Master's life was very normal every day. Nothing happened at all. Hongzhuang, what are you doing here? Di Xiaofeng happened to be heading to Lin Yunqing's residence and saw Bailey Hongzhuang standing outside. He couldn't help but ask. Seeing Di Xiaofeng, Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes lit up and she immediately asked, Big brother, what happened in the family recently? Where did this question come from? Di Xiaofeng was slightly startled. A trace of complexity flashed through the depths of his eyes. I noticed that everyone's expression has been a little strange recently, Bailey Hongzhuang said. Hearing this, Di Xiaofeng waved his hand. It's nothing, you don't have to worry about it. Bailey Hongzhuang asked a few more questions, but Di Xiaofeng still told her with certainty that nothing happened. Seeing this, Bailey Hongzhuang knew that she wouldn't be able to get anything out of Di Xiaofeng, but the other party's attitude made her even more certain that something must have happened and it was related to her. Although she understood that Di Beichen and Di Xiaofeng didn't tell her about this matter for her own good, she still wanted to figure it out. After all, she couldn't let others bear the pressure for her. She couldn't live so selfishly. Xiao He, why don't you help me find out? Bailey Hongzhuang carried Xiao He in her arms. The fluffy white ball felt great to the touch. No problem. Xiao He nodded. I promised to complete the mission. In fact, it was also very curious about what had happened. Even if its master did not allow it to go, it wanted to eavesdrop by itself. Go, be careful not to be discovered by others. Don't worry. Just as Xiao He was about to leave, Bailey Hongzhuang unexpectedly discovered Dai Haoan not far away. Dai Haoan also didn't expect Bailey Hongzhuang to be here. He was slightly startled and a trace of panic appeared on his face. Then, he revealed a polite smile. Hongzhuang, you're here too. Chapter 4650. Dai Haoan smiled and waved his hand. I'm already used to it. Besides, it's for the family. No matter how hard it is, it's worth it. It's hard for you to take care of Madam every day. Fortunately, you're back. Madam is now fully recovered. It's really delightful. By the way, Haoan, did something happen in the family recently? I heard that the Xiao family's people came, but they left quickly. What's going on? Bailey Hongzhuang asked aloud. Don't you know? Dai Haoan asked subconsciously. However, after saying it, he realized that it was inappropriate and immediately closed his mouth. Actually, it's nothing. It's just a small matter. As soon as he said that, Bailey Hongzhuang frowned slightly. Dai Haoan's expression had revealed a lot of information. Could it be that the Xiao family's departure had something to do with her? But she didn't even see the Xiao family. How could it be related to her? Haoan, just tell me. Recently, everyone seems to be talking about this. I'm the only one who's kept in the dark. Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't help but ask. Di Beichen was in seclusion trying to break through these 2 days. She didn't know when he would come out, so she couldn't ask. Hongzhuang, I think you should ask Beichen about this. Dai Haoan said awkwardly. Are you going to tell me or not? At this moment, a cold female voice sounded. It was filled with an undeniable tone. Suddenly hearing this voice, Dai Haoan couldn't help but be stunned. After seeing the figure that appeared behind Bailey Hongzhuang, his expression changed. Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't help but look at Ling behind her. Then she and Xiao He looked at each other. Their trump card was out. Sure enough, Dai Haoan, who was originally very determined, wasn't so determined after seeing Ling. If you don't want to tell me, then forget it. Linger coldly glanced at Dai Haoan. She crossed her arms in front of her chest with a cold and arrogant expression. She immediately turned around and prepared to leave. Seeing this, Dai Haoan hurriedly said, Miss Linger, wait, I'll speak. Bailey Hongzhuang sighed inwardly. As expected, Linger was the only one who could deal with Daihaoan. Linger only said one sentence, and the other party immediately surrendered. What happened last time was my fault. I'm really sorry. I hope you can forgive me, Daihaoan said sincerely. However, Linger was not willing to pay any attention to him. She only said, "Are you going to tell me or not?" "I'll talk," Daihaoan hurriedly said, as if he was afraid that Linger would lose her patience and leave directly. Actually, the Xiao family is here for the engagement between Miss Xiao and Beichen. Engagement? Bailey Hongzhuang, Linger, and Xiao He couldn't help but exclaim in surprise. They never knew that Di Beichen had an engagement. Daihaoan nodded slightly. That's right. There was an engagement before, but Beichen went missing, so this matter was left unsettled. Now that Beichen is back, the Xiao family is here to discuss this matter. However, you don't have to worry. Master and Beichen have already rejected it, so this engagement is now invalid. Linger, who was originally worried about Bailey Hongzhuang, couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief after hearing that the engagement was invalid. That's good. Then we don't have to worry anymore. Chapter 4651. Since this matter has been resolved, why is everyone still whispering about it? Xiao He looked puzzled. Since the engagement had been annulled, it should have come to an end. Is there a conflict between the Di family and the Xiao family because of this? Bailey Hongzhuang asked. After knowing that Beichen had an engagement, she was a little worried. However, she did not expect her father to reject it so easily. While she was surprised, she was also a little touched. Ever since she came to the Di family, she realized that whether it was her grandfather, grandmother, father, or mother, they had always treated her as one of their own. They did not feel that she was an outsider at all. All of her previous worries disappeared when she felt their passion and sincerity. Now, she had completely integrated into this family. However, she was still a girl from the lower realm. Her status could not be compared to the eldest daughter of the Xiao family. Furthermore, she knew that the eldest daughter of the Xiao family was about to become the holy maiden of the light world. However, even with such a difference in status, they still rejected her without hesitation. How could she not be touched? However, she also understood that the Xiao family would not be happy after being rejected. She was afraid that it would cause trouble for them. After such a thing happened, it's inevitable that there will be some estrangement. Daihaoan was a little helpless. However, it's not a big deal. I heard that although there are some estrangement between the two sides, it's not too bad because of this matter. As long as we find a way to give the Xiao family a way out, there won't be any problems. Is what you said true? Linger asked. Daihaoan nodded. Of course it's true. You can rest assured. That's good. Bailey Hongzhuang heaved a sigh of relief. As long as the two sides did not completely fall out, there was still room for negotiation. Could it be that these people have been talking about this recently? Is there anything else? Actually, the Immortal Cloud's secret realm, which is held once every 10 years, is about to open, so everyone is mainly talking about this. Originally, the head of the family wanted to use cultivation resources to exchange for a few places from the Xiao family. However, there are some problems with the Xiao family now, so it's very difficult to exchange for places. Actually, recently, everyone has been discussing who to send for these quotas. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang's heart sank. She didn't expect that the Di family's interests would be affected because of her. After Daihaoan left, Bailey Hongzhuang's mood was somewhat depressed. Although she did not know what the Immortal Cloud's secret realm was, she knew that it must be a very important place since even the Di family placed so much importance on it. Now that something like this had happened at such a critical juncture, her father and the others must be worried about this matter, but there was nothing she could do. Master, this matter actually has nothing to do with you. You don't have to take it to heart. Xiao He could not help but console her. That's right. This is something that can't be avoided. The Di family must have thought about this beforehand. They must have been prepared to accept this outcome, Linger said. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. I understand, but I'm still a little worried. The next day, Di Beichen successfully broke through and came out of seclusion. However, as soon as he came out of seclusion, Di Xiaofeng appeared in front of them. Chapter 4652. Father wants us to make a trip to the meeting hall. Hongzhuang will go with us as well. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen looked at each other and immediately walked towards the meeting hall together. When Bailey Hongzhuang and the other two arrived at the meeting hall, they realized that Dai Haoan and Di Zhirais were already waiting for them. When Diu Jue saw that the three of them had arrived, a smile immediately appeared on his face. All right, since everyone is here, I'll explain the current situation. Hearing Diu Jue's words, Di Zhi's and Dai Haoan's faces lit up with excitement. In fact, when they were called here by the clan head, they already had a premonition in their hearts that they would be told something. All of you should know that the immortal cloud secret realm that opens once every 10 years is about to open. The five of them nodded their heads. Even though Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen did not know what the immortal cloud secret realm was, they had heard this name a few times recently. The immortal cloud secret realm is a secret realm that was discovered by the upper realm many years ago. The yuan li in this secret realm is extremely dense and the spiritual herbs grow extremely well inside. Once it opens once every 10 years, there will definitely be a lot of spiritual herbs inside. Furthermore, these spiritual herbs will be of great help to cultivators. Not only that, there might also be other natural treasures and even inheritances. However, this secret realm also has a requirement of one's strength. Only cultivators who are at the nebula stage and below can enter. Because of this, the immortal cloud secret realm has always been a place for the younger generation to train. As Diu Jue explained, his gaze fell on Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen. In fact, Di Zhi's and the rest were extremely familiar with the situation of the immortal cloud secret realm. Only Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen did not know much about it. Hence, this introduction was specially made for them. At this moment, Bailey Hongzhuang finally understood the importance of the immortal cloud secret realm. After cultivating to such a level, it was actually not easy to improve, especially when breaking through to the next level. At this time, medicinal pills could play a very good role. If there were no pills during the breakthrough, it would probably take a lot more time. However, spiritual herbs of such a grade were extremely rare and valuable. If there were many high-grade spiritual herbs in the immortal cloud secret realm, it would be a huge treasure. The quota for entering the immortal cloud secret realm is limited. Every time the secret realm opens, the big families. I intend to give you the remaining 5 slots to enter the immortal cloud secret realm. I hope that you will be able to reap good rewards. Thank you, clan head. However, you must be careful after you enter. The young geniuses of the various powers will enter, and the competition will definitely not be small. Not only that, there are no rules here, so you must protect yourself well. Do not lose your life, Diu Jue said solemnly. He felt a little helpless. If there were more disciples participating, it would be safer. However, the chances of them obtaining a quota this time was too slim. Each family only has 5 quotas. Is it the same for the other forces? Di Beichen could not help but ask. He understood that for such an opportunity, the quota would be very tight. However, for a force like the Di family to only have 5 quotas, it was not a lot. Hearing Di Beichen's words, Di's eyes looked at him speechlessly. If the clan head was not here, he would have rolled his eyes. Chapter 4653. Other than Bailey Hongzhuang, everyone else felt helpless when they heard Di Beichen's question. Dai Haoan and Di Beichen both understood that the family head doted on Di Beichen a lot and had never mentioned the losses caused by this matter to him. Hence, they naturally would not bring this matter up. Actually, every time the immortal cloud secret territory opens, we have to fight for the slots. Diu Jue slowly said. He did not want to give Di Beichen and Bailey Hongzhuang any psychological burden, but he could not keep them in the dark either. After all, they were already part of the Di family and would find out about this matter sooner or later. Furthermore, Di Beichen would take over the family in the future. As soon as he said this, Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen's eyes lit up. Actually, they also hoped that they would be able to obtain a few more slots. Xiren and the rest were all here, and if possible, they naturally hoped that when Xiren and the rest could also participate in the immortal cloud secret territory. However, The precondition was that the D family would be able to obtain enough slots. The D family was a big family and had many young cultivators. 5 slots were really too few. I wonder how the slots are fought for? Bewitching asked. With our family's strength, we should be able to obtain a few more slots, right? As soon as Bewitching finished speaking, Dee's eyes felt even more speechless. The person who started all of this was actually standing here and was completely unaware of everything. He was even hoping to obtain more slots. It was really frustrating. Originally, our family could have obtained a few more slots. However, something unexpected happened along the way and the possibility of obtaining more slots is very small. According to my judgment, I'm afraid that our family only has 5 slots this time. Dujue sighed. Even though he had accepted this fact, he still felt helpless every time he mentioned it. This time, I'm afraid that we'll fall behind the other families. 5 spots are really too few. We can only blame the June family for deliberately backstabbing us. Otherwise, we wouldn't have fallen into such a situation. Di Xiaofeng's face was filled with anger. If it weren't for the June family's interference, his family would have had many more spots. This kind of opportunity was something that the younger generation yearned for even in their dreams. Previously, the young disciples of the family who met the requirements had been looking forward to it. They never thought that there would be so few spots this time. One could imagine the depression in their hearts. It was precisely because of this that because of the depression in everyone's heart, they vaguely blamed Di Beichen and Bailey Hongzhuang. Although this idea was wrong, it was inevitable under such circumstances. If you want to blame someone, you can only blame the June family. This family always likes to do these shady things behind the scenes. If he had enough strength, he would definitely teach the June family a lesson. The June family's actions are really too much. I think that we don't need to pay attention to them. We should just directly fall out with them. Dijai's eyes were also filled with anger. The June family's actions had seriously affected the family's interests. If it weren't for this matter, the Di family would have been able to obtain a good harvest in the Immortal Cloud's secret territory. However, there were only 5 of them now. The limitations were obvious. Big brother, what's going on? Chapter 4654. Actually, the competition for the spots to enter the Immortal Cloud's secret territory is conducted through the alchemy competition. Originally, we invited an 8th grade alchemist. With this alchemist representing the family, our chances of getting a spot are very high. Although there will be 9th grade alchemists participating in the alchemy competition, they are extremely rare. Other than the Alchemist Guild, there are very few forces that can invite a 9th grade alchemist. Therefore, as long as we can find an 8th grade alchemist with outstanding alchemy skills, getting a spot would not be a problem. However, we did not expect the June family to secretly bribe alchemist Qin and change their mind at the last moment, catching us off guard. Now, it is too late to find other alchemists. Although our 7th grade alchemist might be able to get a spot in the competition for 7th grade alchemists is extremely fierce. It is hard to say whether they will be able to get a spot. Compared to 8th grade alchemists, the number of 7th grade alchemists was much higher. Although the 7th grade alchemists in the family usually refined good pills, it would be difficult for them to get an outstanding result in the alchemy competition where geniuses gathered. Alchemy competition? Bailey Hongzhuang was slightly stunned. She did not expect that the competition for the spots would be through the alchemy competition. The competition for the spots is conducted through the alchemy competition? Di Beichen was also very surprised. He originally thought that the competition for the spots would be through the martial competition. He did not expect it to be through this method. In fact, the competition for the spots in the past was through the martial competition. However, everyone found that the martial competition would cause many geniuses to fall. The loss was not small, so it was changed to the alchemy competition. After all, the grade of the alchemist also reflected the family's ability. That's right. What's so strange about this? Seeing Di Beichen and Bailey Hongzhuang's surprised expression, Daihaoan could not help but say, "No matter what method it is useless at this time." Di Beichen did not pay attention to his father's words. Instead, he looked at Dujue and said, Father, Hong Zhuang can also participate in the alchemy competition. Hearing this, everyone was stunned. They looked at Bewitching in confusion. For a moment, they did not react. Hong Zhuang is an alchemist? Dujue immediately reacted. However, he did not expect Bailey Hongzhuang to be an alchemist. With Bailey Hongzhuang's age, being able to have such attainments in medical skills was already very amazing. But now she even had the identity of an alchemist? Yes. Di Beichen nodded. Hongzhuang is also a 7th grade alchemist. For a time, everyone's eyes were focused on Bailey Hongzhuang. Alchemist. This is his alchemist. If Bailey Hongzhuang was only good at this, they wouldn't be unable to accept it. But Bailey Hongzhuang's medical skills were even more outstanding than Dr. Wu's, and her cultivation wasn't weak either. How did she cultivate to reach such a realm? Everyone was a little dumbfounded. Just one of the identities was already very amazing. After connecting all the dots, they almost could not believe it was true. Alchemist? Dujue could not help but ask in astonishment. Chapter 4655. Ever since she found out that the Shao clan and the clan were at odds because of her, she wanted to do something to make up for the clan's loss. Originally, the clan wanted to exchange for a few spots from the Shao clan, but they didn't expect it to go down the drain. If she could help the clan get a few spots, it would be great. After receiving Bailey Hongzhuang's confirmation, everyone was even more amazed. Hongzhuang, I didn't expect you to not only be a doctor, but also an alchemist. This kind of strength is really amazing. Di Xiaofeng's eyes were filled with shock. He always thought that Bailey Hongzhuang was very outstanding, but he didn't expect her to be so outstanding. Di Zhai's and Dai Haoan's thoughts were even more complicated. When they found out that Bailey Hongzhuang was from the lower realm, they felt that she wasn't worthy of Di Beichen's identity. But now that Bailey Hongzhuang's identity was revealed one after another, they only felt that this kind of talent was too terrifying. A cultivator from the lower realm actually had so many terrifying identities. Even if it was a disciple of an aristocratic family like them, it would still be extremely amazing. With Bailey Hongzhuang's age, to be able to reach such a level, her talent could be said to be at the peak of perfection. One had to know that their clan also had 2 Tier 7 alchemists, but these alchemists were not young. In comparison, Bailey Hongzhuang's potential was much greater, and it was very likely that she would become a Tier 9 alchemist in the future. When they thought of this possibility, the amazement in their hearts became even stronger. Hongzhuang, to be able to become a Tier 7 alchemist, your ability and talent are indeed amazing. Dujue stared at Bailey Hongzhuang. Now, he was more and more satisfied with this daughter-in-law of his and understood what she wanted to do for the clan, but, with your talent, as long as you concentrate on alchemy, you will definitely be able to become a Tier 9 alchemist in the future. The scale of the alchemy competition this time is extremely large. Almost all the outstanding alchemists from the upper echelons have been attracted, so it can be said that it is very difficult to obtain a ranking. According to our judgment, the possibility of a Tier 7 alchemist obtaining a spot is not high. He didn't want to strike Bailey Hongzhuang's enthusiasm and self-confidence because of this matter. In fact, according to age, there were extremely few alchemists who could compare to Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang naturally understood the meaning of Dujue's words. The reason why he said it so tactfully was to let her understand that there was still a certain gap between a level 7 alchemist and that only a level 8 alchemist could obtain a certain quota. Father, although I'm only a 7th grade alchemist now, my alchemy skills have been progressing well recently. I believe that I'll be able to break through to 8th grade alchemist in a few days. Her ink-black phoenix eyes flashed with a resolute light. Recently, her cultivation had been increasing very quickly. According to her judgment, she should be able to concoct 8th tier pills. However, recently, she had spent more time on cultivation and less time on alchemy. Moreover, she didn't have many 8th tier spiritual herbs on hand, so she didn't try to concoct any. Now that she knew about this matter, she planned to take some 8th tier spiritual herbs from the clan to concoct. She believed that with her current ability, she should be able to become a Tier 8 alchemist. Chapter 4656. When Di Baichen said that Bailey Hongzhuang was a 7th-tier alchemist, everyone's heart was already in turmoil. However, the shock brought by Bailey Hongzhuang's words was no less than the previous shock. An 8th-tier alchemist, even in the upper realm, was a very rare existence. The two alchemists in the family had been in the 7th tier for a long time, but no matter how hard they tried, they still couldn't reach the 8th tier. Bailey Hongzhuang being able to reach the 7th tier at such a young age was already very shocking, but now she said that she only needed a few days to break through to the 8th tier. Wasn't this too much of a fantasy? This kind of improvement wasn't something that could be done casually. If it was really that easy, then there wouldn't be so many alchemists stagnant in their alchemy skills. After Diu Jue heard this, he didn't know how to respond. He felt that Bailey Hongzhuang wasn't someone who was in a rush to show off, but these words were too unconvincing. Not only Diu Jue, but the others also looked at Bailey Hongzhuang suspiciously. It wasn't that they thought she was lying, but this kind of news was too shocking. Father, we can lead 3 alchemists to participate in the alchemy competition. Right now, the family only has 2 alchemists, so we can give the last spot to Hongzhuang. Di Xiaofeng suggested. That's not bad. First Art nodded. Since there was still 1 spot, they couldn't find another alchemist in a short time. Even if Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't get a good result, it was still good to go there and see. Looking at the alchemy methods of high-level alchemists could also give him some inspiration and improve his alchemy skills. He felt that this was a very good opportunity for Bailey Hongzhuang. As for Bailey Hongzhuang saying that she could become an 8th-tier alchemist in a few days, he didn't take it to heart. He only thought that Bailey Hongzhuang wanted to participate in the alchemy competition, so she found such a reason. Hongzhuang's spot will be given to you. In a few days, you will leave for the alchemy competition. At that time, you can go together. Thank you, Father. Bailey Hongzhuang said with a happy expression. Di Baichen and Di Xiaofeng also smiled, but Di Baichen was happy that Bailey Hongzhuang could participate in the alchemy competition and get a spot. Di Xiaofeng felt happy that he helped Bailey Hongzhuang gain experience. As for Di Haowen and Di Zhais, the two remained silent. Di Zhais was very speechless. The patriarch obviously doted on Di Baichen and Bailey Hongzhuang. He was actually willing to let Bailey Hongzhuang cause trouble. Although wasting a spot in the competition wasn't a big deal, they didn't need it anyway. But if Bailey Hongzhuang went, it would be a bit troublesome. If her performance was too bad, the entire Di family's face would be lost. He really didn't understand. The patriarch had always been very wise. How did he become like this now? Diu Jue said a few more words before letting the 5 of them leave. Not long after they left the hall, Di Zhais couldn't help but look at Bailey Hongzhuang and say, "The alchemy competition is a place where heroes gather. You can't mess around." Chapter 46-57. When Di Zhais found out that Bailey Hongzhuang was a 7th-tier alchemist, he felt some respect for her. Even though he looked down on Bailey Hongzhuang's status, to have such achievements at such a young age was already very impressive. However, in an event like the alchemy competition, Bailey Hongzhuang only wanted to show off her abilities. When the time comes, not only would she lose face, everyone would lose face as well. Following Di Zhais' words, Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't help but frown. From the first time they met Di Zhais, he didn't leave a good impression on them. Now, he was speaking even more rudely. "You don't have to worry about that." Di Baichen stood in front of Bailey Hongzhuang, his handsome face filled with coldness. "Baichen, I know that you're very protective of your wife. I also know that you've only just returned and everyone in the family is very good to you. But you can't use your status to do something that will damage the family's reputation." Di Zhais didn't back down at all. He didn't think that Di Baichen could be the next patriarch of the Di family. "No matter what, that's my business. You should be clear about your current position. If you have any dissatisfaction, you can directly voice it out in the discussion hall. If you don't have the guts, then don't waste your breath here." His cold voice carried a tone that didn't allow for refusal. Di Baichen's eyes were sharp and dazzling as a tyrannical aura emanated from him. Even though he had only just returned to the Di family, he was still the son of the patriarch. He was even the next patriarch of the Di family. The other party was only the son of an elder, yet he dared to teach Hongzhuang a lesson in front of him. This was simply intolerable. Hearing Di Baichen's sharp and merciless words, Di Zhai's face turned ashen. He stared at the man in front of him who was even younger than him. He was shocked to find that he was intimidated by the other party's aura. At this time, Di Xiaofeng also spoke out, "Zhais, you should really think about it. Facing Beichen and Hong Zhuang, your attitude isn't very appropriate." He knew that Di Zhais had always been this overbearing, but facing Beichen, he should at least control his temper a little. After hearing Di Xiaofeng's words, the originally ashen Zhai's face turned even uglier. His heart was filled with unwillingness to accept this outcome. I understand that his status isn't something I can compare to. But you can't keep spoiling him just because you feel like you owe him. With his strength, who would believe that he is the patriarch of our family? This is a joke. Since you're all allowing him to do as he pleases, then I won't say anything more. When we enter the immortal cloud's secret realm, we'll split up. With that, Di flung his sleeves and turned to leave. However, Di Baichen's voice rang out again. Wait! Di Zhai stopped in his tracks and looked at Di Baichen. His voice was cold and filled with anger. What's the matter? Apologize to Hong Zhuang. Di Baichen said coldly. Hearing this, Di Zhai was instantly stunned. A look of disbelief flashed across his eyes. What did you say? I said, apologize to Hong Zhuang. Di Baichen raised his voice and emphasized every word. Why should I? Di Zhai was about to explode from anger. Chapter 4658. Di Xiaofeng and Dai Haoan couldn't help but look at each other in shock after seeing Di Baichen's tough stance. They had never seen Di Baichen like this before. At this moment, his entire body was exuding the aura of a superior. That kind of undeniable strength made it impossible for anyone to resist. Wow, Baichen is so handsome like this. Xiao Hei's eyes sparkled. Baichen was simply too handsome when he was so domineering. Bailey Hongzhuang was also a little shocked, but she quickly understood. All along, Baichen had always been this domineering when it came to matters related to her. Thinking back to when Di Zhai scolded him before, he didn't refute anything. Now that he was going to this extent for her, she was instantly touched. Di Zhai also didn't expect Di Baichen to be so unyielding. According to the first time he saw Di Baichen, his temperament wasn't like this at all. Why did he completely change now? Di Zhai was embarrassed. Zhai, you've indeed gone overboard with your words. It's only right for you to apologize. Dai Haoan slowly said, while giving Di Zhai a way out and at the same time easing the atmosphere. This kind of atmosphere was simply too awkward. Zhai. Di Xiaofeng also spoke up. Seeing that everyone was standing on Di Baichen's side, the veins on Di Zhai's temples throbbed. The anger in his eyes continued to rise. This was simply too despicable. However, in this situation he really had no other choice but to apologize. Okay, I'll take this as my fault. Di Zhai's face was cold. Take it that I said the wrong thing. I also hope that you can really perform well. With that, Di Zhai didn't want to stay any longer. He turned around and quickly left. Di Baichen was a little dissatisfied with Di Zhai's words. He was about to say something when Bailey Hongzhuang pulled him back. Bailey Hongzhuang slightly shook her head. She understood that Di Baichen wanted to stand up for her. However, this was already the limit of what Di Zhai could do. If they continued to argue over this matter, it was inevitable that they would come to blows. Everyone was about to enter the immortal cloud's secret realm together. It wasn't good to fight among themselves. Di Baichen gently looked at Bailey Hongzhuang before stopping. Wife, you go to mother's place first. As for the spiritual herbs you need, I'll get them for you later. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang slightly nodded her head. After Bailey Hongzhuang left, Di Haoan also left. Di Baichen looked at Di Xiaofeng. Dage, do you have something to say to me? Baichen, Di Zhai. Di Xiaofeng smiled. But Zhai has always been like this, don't take it to heart. Di Baichen's deep eyes surged with a deep luster. I can ignore it, but I can't tolerate his attitude towards Hong Zhuang. I understand that you're doing this for Hong Zhuang. Hong Zhuang will be very happy too. Di Xiaofeng lightly smiled. His younger brother was really good to his wife. Hong Zhuang doesn't know anyone in the family. I'm the only one who supports her. If I allow others to slander her in front of me, then what position will she have in the family in the future? Di Beichen's voice was cold. He didn't want to use his status to bully others. However, he couldn't sit by and watch others speak rudely of Hong Zhuang. Chapter 4659. After hearing Di Beichen's words, Di Xiaofeng's eyes lit up. Di Beichen, I didn't think you would think so much for Hong Zhuang. You're so thoughtful. He didn't think about this before, but after hearing Di Beichen's words, it was indeed the case. Although everyone in the family knew that Bailey Hong Zhuang was Di Beichen's wife, they respected her only because of this. If Di Beichen didn't express his attitude, it would be hard to avoid people looking down on Bailey Hong Zhuang. Hong Zhuang has done a lot for me. Di Beichen's gaze was deep and complicated. In fact, if it wasn't for him, Hong Zhuang wouldn't have to care about Di Zhirai's words and wouldn't have to bear all of this. Now that Bailey Hong Zhuang had received the recognition and love of her family, he understood that all of this was done for him. It was because of this that he didn't allow anyone to say anything bad about Hong Zhuang. Di Xiaofeng nodded and sighed. Hong Zhuang really didn't have it easy, but she's really powerful. That's right, although Zhai's words weren't nice. This alchemy competition is indeed a very important occasion. You have to make sure that Hong Zhuang has the ability of a 7th-tier alchemist, or else it will be troublesome. Di Xiaofeng couldn't help but remind him. He had the same thoughts as his father and didn't care if Bailey Hong Zhuang could get a spot for the family, but at least the difference couldn't be too big. Big brother, don't worry, I won't say this kind of thing without thinking. Di Beichen said. He didn't emphasize how outstanding Hong Zhuang's alchemy skills were because he knew that facts spoke louder than words. At this moment, no amount of words could compare to Hong Zhuang's performance. Master, I feel like everyone doesn't believe in your alchemy skills. They must be blind to have underestimated you. Xiao He followed Bailey Hong Zhuang to Lin Yunqing's courtyard. She puffed up her cheeks, clearly still dissatisfied with this matter. It's normal that they don't believe me. Bailey Hong Zhuang smiled faintly, not taking this matter to heart. Master, aren't you being a little too calm? Xiao He was a little confused. Why don't you explain it to them? With my age, I'm indeed not very convincing. It's normal for them to have such an attitude. Anyway, I've already gotten a spot. When the time comes, I'll just have to perform well. Bailey Hong Zhuang's delicate and perfect face had a light smile like a spring breeze. In her mind, the image of Di Beichen standing up for her just now appeared. For her, she did not care about other people's attitudes. As long as Di Beichen stood firmly by her side, it was enough. Lin Wenlan and Yun Yishan left, but Lin Yi didn't leave with them. She planned to go to the venue of the alchemy competition with the Di family and meet with the Lin family at that time. In this regard, Lin Wenlan and others had already guessed Lin Yi's intention, so they didn't stop her. Just a few days after Lin Wenlan and others left, Bailey Hong Zhuang and others were ready to set off. Xiaofeng, Beichen, Hong Zhuang, you must be more careful this time. Lin Yunqing's eyes were full of worry and concern. Every time her children left, she couldn't help but worry. Mother, don't worry. We will be careful. Di Beichen said with a smile. Chapter 4660. Mother, don't worry. Even if you didn't tell me, I would take good care of them. Di Xiaofeng said with a smile. That's good. Mother, after I leave, you have to listen to Dr. Wu and take care of yourself. Bailey Hong Zhuang said. Lin Yun smiled and nodded. I will. This time, you will be led by Great Elder. After you leave, you must be united. No matter what the result is, don't be discouraged. Di Yujue reminded. In fact, they didn't have any expectations for the alchemy competition, but it was still necessary to participate. If they could get a few more spots, it would be good. At least with a few more spots, the family would have more opportunities for their disciples to gain experience. Yes, family head. Di Lin Xian and Xia Wanrong also came, so they couldn't help but remind them. After a while, everyone set off together. There is a certain distance from here to the location of the alchemy competition. Even if we take a flying magic tool, it will take half a month, so you have to be mentally prepared. Di Xiaofeng said to Di Beichen and Xia Wanrong. Hearing this, The two of them nodded. This distance was within their expectations. When they first came from Rome and City to the D family, it also took a lot of time. However, from this point, it could be seen that the upper realm was indeed much larger than the lower realm. One had to know that the flying magic tool was very fast. Even so, it still took half a month, so one could imagine the distance. This time, everyone sat on Great Elder's flying magic tool. There weren't many people going this time. Other than the 6 people participating in the competition, there were only 2 alchemists and Great Elder. The alchemy competition will be held in Waterchi City. Our D family also has businesses in Waterchi City. After we go, we will contact them. Di Xiaofeng noticed Bailey Hongzhuang and Xia Wanrong's gazes and immediately explained. Bailey Hongzhuang finally understood. Previously, she also thought that the number of people going was too small. It turned out that the D family already had people there. This time, we are going to Waterpraying City to compete for the slots. After the competition for the slots is over, there will only be 3 months left before the opening of the Immortal Cloud Secret Realm. At that time, we will wait for everyone to meet up in Waterpraying City. After that, we will take the flying ship to the Immortal Cloud Mystic Realm. Di Xiaofeng had an elegant smile on his face. Di Beichen had never participated in such an event, so they definitely didn't know about these things. Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen looked at each other. The structure of the upper realm was indeed much larger. The duration of this event was also much longer than what they had experienced before. Wait until we reach Chishui City, then you'll see how grand it is. Yes. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled. This time, she would definitely be able to see many geniuses and gain a better understanding of the higher realms. Second cousin-in-law, when we get to Chishui City, I'll take you around. Actually, there are a lot of fun things there. We don't have many opportunities to go out on weekdays. We must take advantage of this opportunity to have fun. Lin Yi said with an excited expression. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded with a faint smile. Okay. Big brother, will Miss Yunyan go to the Immortal Cloud Secret Realm this time? Di Beichen asked quietly. Chapter 4661. Listening to Di Beichen's question, Di Xiaofeng nodded with a complicated expression. Yunyan should also go. Seeing this, Di Beichen also sighed secretly in his heart. Presumably, there would be some twists and turns at that time. Other things were easy to deal with, but this kind of thing was the most difficult. He was helpless. After knowing this, Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't help but ask, Big brother, have you talked to Yi? Yi was so pure that she liked Di Xiaofeng without hesitation. She didn't think of other possibilities at all. If she knew that Di Xiaofeng actually liked someone else, she was really worried that Yi wouldn't be able to bear it. Di Xiaofeng sighed. I have already told her that I only treat her as a sister, but Yi didn't seem to take my words to heart. He thought that after he made this clear, Yi would understand, but he didn't expect that when they met again, Yi acted as if nothing had happened before. Bailey Hongzhuang fell into silence when she heard this. It seemed that Yi had already known all this in her heart, but she was just unwilling to give up. From the moment Di Xiaofeng told her, she already understood, but she also knew that if that was the case, she couldn't continue to get along with Di Xiaofeng, so she could only pretend that what happened that day never happened. Suddenly, Bailey Hongzhuang also felt a little distressed for Lin Yi. No matter what, we have to treat Yi better. Bailey Hongzhuang said solemnly. The time on the flight magical weapon was undoubtedly boring. Almost everyone was cultivating on their own. Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen had been immersed in cultivation. Obtaining the quota was one thing. After obtaining the quota, going to the Immortal Cloud Secret Realm was a bigger test. If they were not strong enough, let alone the harvest, they didn't even know if they could keep their lives. At the same time, Xiren and others had been staying in the Chaos Ring. After some discussion, everyone decided to enter the Immortal Cloud Secret Realm in this way. On the one hand, it could save the quota, and on the other hand, it might also have unexpected good effects. What's more, if Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen proposed to go to the Water Chishui City with them, it would probably make everyone a little embarrassed. After all, there were not so many quotas. Instead of that, it was better to be simple and straightforward. Half a month passed in the blink of an eye. After the great elder reminded them that they were close to the water Chishui city, everyone exited the cultivation state. Not long after that, everyone appeared in the water Chishui city. As soon as they walked through the city gate, the bustling clamor spread to everyone's ears. Looking at the city in front of her, there was a trace of emotion in Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes. This city was much larger than Rong and City. The road was wide enough to accommodate dozens of carriages moving side by side. Everything was grand and spectacular. However, there were also a lot of pedestrians here, and it was very lively. It's not too early for us to be here now. Many people from various powers have already arrived. In a few days, there will be even more people in Chishui City. It won't be easy to find a place to stay. Di Xiaofeng smiled. I'm afraid the people of our family haven't arrived yet, but they should be here soon. Linny looked around and said thoughtfully, Let's go and settle down first. The great elder said, By the way, we can understand the current situation. Chapter 4662. It didn't take long for them to arrive at the Di family's shop. Bailey Hongzhuang discovered that the Di family had also opened a pill shop here. The shop was connected to a courtyard, and the area wasn't small. As soon as they arrived, the shop's manager immediately came out and greeted them with a smile. First elder, young master, young miss, you're here. I've already arranged your accommodations. If there's anything you need, just let me know. The first elder nodded slightly and asked, Are all the forces here now? Is the Jun family here? Reporting to the first elder, all the forces are here now. The Jun family arrived very early. I don't know if it's intentional or not, but they're staying in the inn across from us. That alchemist Qin is also with them? The first elder's voice was cold, and his eyes were gloomy. He couldn't help but get angry when he thought about this. That's right. The manager nodded. The Jun family treats alchemist Qin as a guest of honor and treats him very well. Every time alchemist Qin goes in and out, it's like the stars surrounding the moon. We can see everything clearly. As soon as he said this, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others didn't look too good. The other side knew that they were deliberately provoking them by staying across from them. They were obviously trying to provoke them. This Jun family is getting more and more arrogant. Di Xiaofeng's face was full of anger. It's bad enough that they used such underhanded methods behind our backs. Now they're even trying to make us unhappy. How hateful. That alchemist Qin isn't a good person either. He went back on his words. How shameful. Di Zhai's eyes were also full of disgust. The dignified Di family had been played like this. If this spread out, everyone would lose face. Have you contacted an 8th grade alchemist willing to help us participate in the competition? Even though the possibility of this happening was very small, the first elder couldn't help but ask. If they could contact an 8th grade alchemist at this time, then they could still get out of this situation. Otherwise, they would only be laughed at by the Jun family. Great elder, most of the tier 8 alchemists have already been chosen by the various families. When we found out, it was already too late. We couldn't contact them at all. The steward sighed. He had already tried his best to contact them. However, once the immortal cloud mystic realm opened, grade 8 alchemists would be highly sought after by all the powers. No one would complain about having too many slots for the immortal cloud mystic realm. Even if they couldn't use that many slots, they could still use them to exchange for more items. Therefore, it was impossible for them to find any slots at this moment. The great elder sighed. This result was within his expectations. He consoled, Forget it. You've already done your best. Hearing this, the manager felt a little ashamed. It's because I'm not capable enough. Just as they were talking, a group of people walked out of the inn opposite. Bailey Hongzhuang didn't know the other party, but when the group of people appeared, the faces of the first elder and the others turned gloomy. Compared to the gloomy faces of the members of the Di family, the people on the other side were beaming with pride. Then a group of 10 people walked over. Isn't this the first elder of the Di family? You've brought the young people of your family here? A middle-aged man was the first to speak. His face was filled with a proud smile. The first elder looked at him coldly, but didn't bother to reply. Chapter 4663. However, if I remember correctly, the D family should only have 5 spots, right? Although all of you know your own limits and know that you probably won't be able to obtain many spots and only brought 6 disciples, I still have to remind all of you that with just 2 grade 7 alchemists, I'm afraid that all of you won't even be able to obtain an extra spot. As soon as he said this, everyone's faces turned ashen. The other party was mercilessly ridiculing them. Jun Xianxiao, don't go too far. The first elder's face was cold and his eyes were cold and sharp. This is the first elder of the Jun family, Jun Xianxiao. He usually doesn't get along with us. As for the man beside him, he's Alchemist Qin, who we invited before. The others are the outstanding disciples of the Jun family. Di Xiaofeng was worried that Di Beichen and Jun Xianxiao didn't understand the situation, so he introduced them to each other. Although Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen hadn't met each other before, they had a general understanding of the situation. It seemed that the Di family and the Jun family had already reached the point where they were tit for tat. Jun Xianxiao chuckled. I'm just telling the truth. How is that going too far? You know what the Jun family is doing behind the scenes, yet you still come here to make a fuss. Could it be that all mad dogs like to bark? The first elder obviously didn't have a good temper and his words weren't polite. Who are you calling a mad dog? Alchemist Qin was displeased. He was a dignified 8th grade alchemist, yet someone dared to talk to him like this. If it was before, the first elder would naturally be very polite to Alchemist Qin. However, after what had happened, he was full of disgust for Alchemist Qin. If you're not a mad dog, why are you barking in someone else's territory? Di Xiaofeng said coldly. Jun Xianxiao looked at Di Xiaofeng. You're just a junior. How dare you interrupt? The Di family is really getting more and more unruly. You don't need to worry about that. The first elder's face was cold. You're not welcome here. Di Wanchu, is this how you treat me? Medicine Master Qin's face had long since turned cold. Medicine Master Qin, your friendship with the Di family has already been severed when you joined the Jun family. There's no need for you to put on such an act in front of us. It's useless to us. The Di family's medicine master, Di Yunha, also spoke out. A mere 7th grade alchemist dares to be so arrogant. Alchemist Qin coldly snorted. With your strength, participating in this alchemy competition is nothing more than a foil. At least it's better than someone like you who goes back on your words. Another alchemist, Di Hengyun, sneered. Alchemist Qin's face was ashen. Medicine Master Qin, there's no need to pay attention to them. They're just running their mouths. Jun Xianxiao quickly calmed down. The dignified Di family can only get 5 spots. Everyone will laugh at them when the time comes. Why should we be angry with them? Let's just watch them make a fool of themselves. Hearing this, Medicine Master Qin nodded. That's right. At the same time, the young people of the Jun family were also full of pride. They looked at the Di family with mockery and disdain. This time, they would completely crush the Di family. Men, chase these mad dogs out. The first elder said coldly. Seeing this, Jun Xianxiao chuckled. Let's go. Let's see how long they can last. Chapter 4664. Although their response was very tough and the Jun family's arrogance did not gain any benefits, they knew very well that this tough attitude would not last long. If their performance in the alchemy competition this time was too bad, they would inevitably lose face. In fact, they would not be able to leave quietly even if they wanted to. The Jun family would definitely think of ways to embarrass them in front of everyone. Thinking of this, everyone felt inexplicably annoyed. This Jun family's people are too arrogant. Looking at that face, I really want to ruthlessly stomp on his face. Di's eyes could not suppress the anger in his heart. As a member of the Di family, he had never been humiliated like this before. The Jun family and we are already enemies. This situation is very normal. Everyone, do not let this affect your hearts. The competition between families is not just one thing. This time, we suffered a loss, but this will not happen again in the future. Listening to the great elder's words, everyone nodded. This time, they could only suffer this hidden loss. Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen looked at each other. The other side was so arrogant. If they really did not perform as well as the other side, who knew how proud the other side would be? They would not give the other side such a chance. They would not take this loss. The steward had already arranged everyone's accommodations. After settling down, everyone was free to move around. However, the great elders still warned them not to go out unless absolutely necessary. The Jun family must be thinking of ways to make trouble for them. Once they went out, they would be easily targeted. Regarding this, everyone understood that if they were targeted, it was very likely that the other side would have something to use against them. Therefore, everyone decided to stay in the room and cultivate peacefully. The other side undoubtedly wanted to show off in front of them, so they might as well not give the other side a chance to show off. In fact, just as the great elder had predicted, the Jun family's disciples wanted to find a chance to humiliate the D family's cultivators. However, after wandering around, they found that the D family had no intention of coming out. This caused their plan to go down the drain, which made them feel indescribably uncomfortable. D Yunha and D Hengyun were the most nervous people in the D family. Although the family had already prepared themselves for failure, as alchemists, they couldn't win glory for the family. This was an indescribable grievance. The two of us have already advanced to Tier 7 Alchemist for a long time, but we still can't touch the threshold of Tier 8 Alchemist. If we can't get a spot for the clan this time, we'll really lose face for the clan. D Yunhe's expression was heavy. He felt an indescribable grievance in his heart. He hated himself for being useless. If he could advance to a grade 8 alchemist, he would not have to endure such humiliation today. Sigh, our talents are indeed limited. D Hengyun was also depressed. Back then, Alchemist Qin and I were both Tier 7 alchemists. Now that he has reached Tier 8, we are still Tier 7 alchemists. No wonder he is so arrogant. D Yunha slammed his fist on the table, and his face was filled with anger. I don't know why, but I just can't refine an 8th grade pill. I've caused a junior to be humiliated. It's really unbearable. No, let's try again. As long as the alchemy competition hasn't started, we still have a chance, D Hengyun said. Chapter 4665. Bailey Hongzhuang and D Beichen both entered the Chaos Ring. Seeing their arrival, when Xiren and the others came to greet them. You've already arrived at Chishui City? D Beichen nodded, that's right. When the alchemy competition starts, you have to find a chance to let us out. We don't want to miss such a lively occasion. When Xiren's face was full of smiles. Although the number of outstanding alchemists in the upper realm was astonishing, they believed that Bailey Hongzhuang would still be able to stand out here. Of course. D Beichen replied, originally, I wanted to find an inn for you to move around freely. But now, the situation is limited, so we can only continue to stay here. Hearing this, everyone's expression changed slightly. What happened? Mo Yunjue asked in a deep voice. After D Beichen explained what happened, everyone understood the specific situation. Hongzhuang, are you now an 8th tier alchemist? Mo Yunjue looked at Bailey Hongzhuang with concern. As far as the current situation was concerned, only when Bailey Hongzhuang became an 8th grade alchemist could she change this situation. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly and nodded. I've already successfully refined an 8th tier pill a few days ago. When these words came out, everyone's heart was in awe. Hongzhuang, your ability is really not a bluff. Shangguan Yingying gave her a thumbs up. Since that's the case, this alchemy competition shouldn't be any weaker than theirs. Although Bailey Hongzhuang had just advanced to the 8th tier, Shangguan Yingying was full of confidence in her. Because, from the past until now, Bailey Hongzhuang had never failed in this kind of thing. That alchemist Qin is also an 8th tier alchemist, and he's been advancing for a longer time than me. It won't be easy for me to defeat him. Her beautiful black and white eyes rippled with a bright and lively luster. After all, the two of them were at the same level. Even if she won, it would be difficult for her to be much stronger. What happened today made her very unhappy. She had completely integrated into the D family. She couldn't tolerate the other party's provocation of the D family. D Beichen looked at Bailey Hongzhuang thoughtfully. Wife, do you have other plans? Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. I heard that the two alchemists in the family have been promoted to the 7th tier for a long time. If they can be promoted to the 8th tier at this juncture, then we will have all the advantages. Following Bailey Hongzhuang's words, Ao Lingxiao and the others widened their eyes. If that was really the case, then it wouldn't be an advantage at all, but a complete suppression. It can't be? Hongzhuang, you're so abnormal. You can actually do this? When Xiren couldn't help but cry out. This ability was really scary. Not only Xiren, but Bewitching also revealed a look of astonishment. It wasn't easy to guide people to advance. Noticing everyone's incredulous gazes, Bailey Hongzhuang explained, I do have this plan, but I can only try my best. I can't be sure if I can achieve this effect. She had the Chaos Ring. The reason why her alchemy skills could advance so quickly was inseparable from the Chaos Ring. The Chaos Ring had the most detailed guidance. She believed that the guidance of others couldn't compare to the Chaos Ring. Chapter 4666. If there really was a problem, then she could tell them the alchemy method in the Chaos Ring. Maybe it could help them level up. Although this idea sounded like a fantasy, it was really possible. Hearing this, everyone nodded. No matter what, it's good to try. After exiting the Chaos Ring, Bailey Hongzhuang and Bewitching went to the two alchemists' residence. When Yunha and Yunha opened the door and saw Bailey Hongzhuang, they were confused. Second young master, what are you doing here? Bewitching said slowly, 7th elder, 8th elder, Hongzhuang and I are here to talk about alchemy. Hearing this, Yunha and Yunha understood. They smiled and said, Second young mistress, did you encounter any problems during alchemy? Tell us. If we can help you, we will tell you. When they knew Bailey Hongzhuang was going to participate in the alchemy competition, they thought it was ridiculous. But after thinking about it carefully, since the leader agreed, he must want Bailey Hongzhuang to come and broaden her horizons. Broadening her horizons would be good for improving her alchemy skills. In fact, Bailey Hongzhuang had become a pill master at such a young age, and they were very appreciative of her. After hearing Di Yunhe's words, Bewitching was somewhat helpless. He knew that the two elders had good intentions, but they didn't come here to solve his own doubts, but to solve their own problems. To be honest, we want to ask you what problems you encountered when you tried to make the 8th realm elixir. Maybe Hongzhuang can help you. Hearing this, Di Yunhe and Di Hengyun were both stunned. Then, a trace of anger appeared on their faces. She was so young, yet she wanted to teach them alchemy. She was too arrogant. Second young master, you are still very young. I understand that it is inevitable for you to be arrogant, but excessive arrogance is not a good thing. Di Yunhe suppressed his anger and reminded them. Bewitching was also somewhat helpless. He also understood that such words would inevitably cause the other party to be dissatisfied, but what he said was also the truth. Actually, Hongzhuang has already broken through to become an 8th grade alchemist, Bewitching said. A tier 8 alchemist. Di Hengyun chuckled. He was about to get angry, but when he came to his senses, he was stunned. Second madam, have you really become an 8th level alchemist? Two pairs of doubtful eyes fell on Bailey Hongzhuang. It was too hard to believe. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. Yes, this is the pill I just refined. Before coming here, Bailey Hongzhuang had already predicted this situation, so she had refined a cauldron of pills in her Chaos Ring. She knew that if she didn't show evidence, the other party wouldn't believe her. Taking the white porcelain bottle from Bailey Hongzhuang, Yunha and Di Hengyun took a look. As alchemists, they naturally could tell that this pill was just refined not long ago. The family didn't invite an 8th level alchemist, so this pill couldn't have been refined by someone else. Therefore, this was the only explanation. Is this really refined by second madam? Di Yunha was dumbfounded. If this was true, how terrifying was second madam's talent in alchemy? Chapter 4667. Seeing how serious Bewitching and Bailey Hongzhuang were, Di Yunha and Di Hengyun looked at each other. Although it was hard to believe, they were serious. Obviously, they would not joke with them at such an important moment. Second young master, second young madam, please come in. Seeing this, Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen let out a sigh of relief. At least the two elders began to believe them. Second young madam, Hu, Di Yunhe opened his mouth. Thinking that he had to ask for advice from such a young junior, he did not know what to say. If the other party was an elder, he would definitely ask his doubts immediately and listen attentively. However, in front of Bailey Hongzhuang, it was really difficult to do so. Noticing the expressions of Di Yunhe and Di Hingyun, Bailey Hongzhuang understood that they were embarrassed at the moment. She immediately said, "Elders, I am now an 8th level alchemist. I have some experience in refining 8th level elixirs. Why don't we exchange some ideas? Maybe it will enlighten you. Under the current situation, if you can advance to 8th level, it will be very beneficial for the family." Hearing Bailey Hongzhuang's words, Di Yunhe and Di Hingyun felt less embarrassed. "Second young madam, you have already helped the family a lot by advancing to 8th level alchemist. Otherwise, with our skills, this alchemy competition is bound to bring shame to the family." Di Yunhe and Di Hingyun smiled. Whether they could advance or not, at least the news of Bailey Hongzhuang's advancement was great news to them. This solved the problem that they were most worried about. Even if they had just advanced to 8th level, as long as they could refine 8th level elixirs, they would be able to get a ranking. Seeing the two elders' friendly attitude, Bailey Hongzhuang was very happy. If it were ordinary people, her words would have provoked the other party's anger. In comparison, the two elders were very nice. Hongzhuang's advancement to 8th level alchemist can indeed alleviate the family's predicament. However, the Jun family is too arrogant. If the two elders can also advance, we will definitely be able to take them down a notch. What do you think? Di Beichen's handsome face was cold and domineering. His voice was firm and full of vigor. It was not their style not to fight back. Hearing Di Beichen's ambitious words, Di Yunhe and Di Hingyun looked at each other. They suddenly felt that they might have underestimated this second young master before. Although he was from the underworld, his domineering attitude and temperament, he was from the Di family. Second young master is right. If we can turn this time, the family will be Proud's family. Di Hingyun's eyes were bright and resplendent. This time, everyone had been holding a breath in their hearts. They had long wanted to vent their anger. Because everyone had the same goal, the two elders no longer had the same idea after learning about Bailey Hongzhuang's abilities. Instead, they told her all the problems they had encountered. In fact, they did not have much hope because they had asked other 8th level alchemists before, but none of them could break through the shackles. However, after Bailey Hongzhuang answered their questions one by one, their thoughts completely changed. Chapter 4668. After Bailey Hongzhuang answered one question after another, Di Yunhe and Di Hingyun no longer looked down on her as before. An indescribable shock and joy spread in their hearts. These were the questions that had always been giving them headaches. However, Bailey Hongzhuang explained them in detail. Originally, they only thought that they might be able to hear some methods of refining level 8 elixirs from Bailey Hongzhuang and the situation when she broke through. However, Bailey Hongzhuang was not talking about these at all. She was actually teaching them all kinds of things that they needed to pay attention to when refining elixirs. If it were someone else who told them these things, they would definitely be too lazy to pay attention. However, Bailey Hongzhuang's method seemed to have opened a new door for them, causing their eyes to light up. A strange feeling spread in their hearts. The things that they couldn't figure out before seemed to have loosened up. The inspiration and experience made them extremely surprised. Although Di Beichen didn't know much about alchemy, after noticing the constantly changing expressions of the two elders, he understood that what his wife said was very useful. He saw with his own eyes that the two elders changed from indifference to astonishment, to shock, and now to admiration. Just as Bailey Hongzhuang expected, the two elders' biggest problem was the method of refining elixirs. Although they were all alchemists, each alchemist's method of refining elixirs was slightly different. Moreover, there were all kinds of tricks when refining elixirs. However, most of the time, no one was willing to share these tricks with others. Therefore, if they wanted to solve these problems, they had to figure it out themselves. In comparison, her method of refining elixirs could be said to be a unique one. It was a combination of her previous refining methods and the methods in the Chaos Ring. However, she didn't find the two elders' questions difficult to answer. On the contrary, she felt that it was very easy. She was even a little surprised that the two alchemists were troubled by such questions. If Di Yunhe and Di Yunhe knew what Bailey Hongzhuang was thinking when answering these questions, they would definitely break down. These questions were very difficult for everyone to answer. For this question, they had consulted many people, but no one had a definite answer. Who would have thought that Bailey Hongzhuang would actually easily resolve these problems the moment she opened her mouth? They simply couldn't understand. Could it be that the lower realms pharmacists were already so powerful? He actually had such a profound understanding of alchemy. If Bailey Hongzhuang were to speak of these views, it would probably shock a lot of people. Thinking back to Bailey Hongzhuang's equally outstanding medical skills, they even felt that their previous views were all wrong. Not only was the lower realms standard not inferior to the upper realms, on the contrary, it was even more formidable than the upper realms. Elders, do you have any other questions? Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the two elders after answering their questions. Di Yunhe and Di Hingyun looked at each other. In their eyes, Bailey Hongzhuang was extremely popular. They took advantage of this opportunity to ask the questions that they didn't understand before. The answers she gave also made them very excited. Although some of the answers needed to be tested personally to know whether they were correct or not, they had an intuition that everything Bailey Hongzhuang said was correct. There was no flaw at all. Chapter 4669. They did have a lot of questions, but they had already asked all the questions they could think of, so they couldn't think of anything else to ask. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang smiled slightly. Then the two elders will study it first. We'll leave first. She had said a lot of things, so Di Yunhe and Di Hongzhuang probably needed time to sort it out. Thank you so much for your explanation today. Di Yunhe no longer regarded himself as a senior in front of Bailey Hongzhuang. On the contrary, he felt that Bailey Hongzhuang was a complete alchemy master. To have such strength at such a young age, her future achievements would definitely be very terrifying. You're too polite. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled. She could also feel the change in attitude of the elders. Just as Di Beichen and Bailey Hongzhuang were walking out of the door, Di Hingyun couldn't help but ask, "Second madam, if we encounter any problems while refining pills, can we ask for your help?" When Di's eyes passed by, he heard what Di Hingyun said to Bailey Hongzhuang and almost fell down. His face was full of shock, thinking that he must have heard wrong. "No problem." Bailey Hongzhuang quickly replied, "If the two elders have any questions, you can come to me directly." "Thank you, second madam." Di Hingyun breathed a sigh of relief and couldn't hide the joy on his face. Although they only chatted for a short while today, he learned more than all the things he had learned over the years. After leaving, Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen went straight back to their rooms. "Wife, your performance today really made the two elders see you in a new light." Di Beichen's face was full of admiration. The change in attitude of the two elders was really too big. On the way here, the two elders didn't talk to Bailey Hongzhuang at all about alchemy, so he knew that the two elders didn't take Hongzhuang seriously. But now, they obviously respected Bailey Hongzhuang as a master. Just now, the two elders listened to her seriously like students, which left a deep impression on him. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly. "I hope that what I said will be helpful to them." In fact, she felt that according to what she explained before, if the two elders could understand everything, it wouldn't be difficult for them to become level 8 alchemists. "I will." After seeing Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Zhai's leave, Di Zhai's immediately went to the two elders' room. "Seventh elder, eighth elder, did I hear you wrong? You asked Bailey Hongzhuang a question?" Seeing Di Zhai's suddenly appear, Di Yunhe and Di Zhai's were a little surprised, but they didn't find it strange. "That's right, second madam's attainment in alchemy is amazing. It's our good fortune to be able to ask her a question," Di Hingyun said. This was his real thought, and he didn't feel that saying it would be embarrassing. On the contrary, he was really glad that he could be taught by Bailey Hongzhuang today. He even felt that he might be able to become a level 8 alchemist. If he could really do it, then Bailey Hongzhuang would be his great benefactor. Hearing this, Di Zhai's was stunned, as if he was struck by lightning. Until the two elders closed the door, he still stood there in a daze, his face full of disbelief. Chapter 4670. Recalling the admiring look of the eighth elder, his lips couldn't help but twitch. How is this possible? However, the two elders didn't want to explain to him at all. They had just absorbed so much content. At this moment, they just wanted to digest it properly. Inside the house, Di Yunha and Di Hingyun looked at each other. Their faces were full of emotions. I didn't expect second young madam's alchemy skills to be so outstanding. We underestimated her before. Yes, now that I think about it, our previous attitude was really inappropriate. Di Hingyun sighed. He only felt that his previous attitude was not good enough. Di Yunha nodded slightly. We did not do well before, but we won't do it again in the future. These questions mentioned by second young madam are completely different from the ambiguous answers we got when we asked before. I don't know if the other party hid something from us when we asked, so they gave such ambiguous answers. They must have hidden something. In contrast, second young madam really doesn't hide anything from us. I am convinced by this point alone. Di Hingyun looked serious. In fact, most people were not willing to tell their own tricks. However, Bailey Hongzhuang did not hide anything from them at all. On the contrary, she explained it in detail. You are right. If anyone says something bad about second young madam in the future, we can't indulge them. Di Yunha also nodded. They liked this second young madam very much. Immediately afterward, the two no longer hesitated and immediately began to refine elixir. In the next 2 days, Di Yunha and Yunha came to Bailey Hongzhuang once. Bailey Hongzhuang watched the two refine a furnace of elixir and gave her own opinion. The two suddenly gained something and began to retreat again. On this day, the Lin family also arrived in Chishui City. Bailey Hongzhuang and others appeared on the street with Lin. I had been staying in the house for the past few days. As soon as I came out, I found that there are more people in Chishui City. Lin Yi looked around curiously. At such a lively time, there were many interesting things. It was a pity that she couldn't come out. Indeed. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded. Such a wide street was no longer empty. On the contrary, there were a lot of pedestrians. Second cousin-in-law, the alchemy competition will begin in 3 days. I think you don't have to worry too much. In fact, even if we don't get a place this time, with the D family's background, it won't affect us much. I understand. It's rare for us to come out, so we're not in a hurry to go back. Let's look around first. The great elder's behavior today is a little strange. Didn't he say that he didn't want us to come out? I don't know why, but they let us out today. Lin Yi looked puzzled. This was really not in line with the great elder's style. However, no matter how much she thought about it, she still couldn't figure out what the problem was. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly. Why are you thinking so much? Since you want to go shopping, let's look around. Great. Lin Yi clapped her hands. Ordinary things are not attractive to us. Why don't we go to the underground market? Underground market? Chapter 4671. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang's heart suddenly became interested. There must be a lot of treasures in the market of the upper realm. What's more, many forces had gathered in Chishui City now. There must be more treasures to be exchanged. Let's go and take a look. Bailey Hongzhuang said with a smile. Seeing that Bailey Hongzhuang also agreed, Lin Yi was even happier. She held Bailey Hongzhuang's arm and walked to the underground market together. It's strange. I don't know where Big Cousin and the others went today. They didn't bring us along. Lin Yi curled her lips. She thought that she could finally come out today. She was the happiest to come out with Big Cousin, but she didn't expect that Big Cousin and Second Cousin had gone out first, leaving only her and Second Cousin-in-law. They have their own activities. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled slightly. Today, Bewitching and the others went out with a mission, but she didn't know if they could succeed. The two of them walked to the front of a building. This building looked like a simple loft, and there was nothing special about it. After paying 10 mid-grade spirit stones, the two of them walked in. After a few steps, they saw a staircase extending to the underground. As soon as they walked down, they felt the lively noise. Looking at the underground market that was as bright as day, Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes flashed with a hint of surprise. If she didn't remember clearly that she was underground, she would think that everything here was a street. The scale of this underground market was huge. She couldn't see the end at a glance. Hundreds of stalls gathered together, which was extremely spectacular. There were more pedestrians. People gathered in front of almost every stall. After a while, many things were sold. "Master, it's so lively here." Xiao Hei's eyes flashed with interest. She liked lively places the most. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded with a faint smile. It seems that there should be a lot of good things here. The scale this time is really unprecedented. Lin Yi looked excited. "Second cousin-in-law, let's go and take a look." Immediately afterward, Lin Yi pulled Bailey Hongzhuang and rushed into the crowd. Seeing that, Bailey Hongzhuang also smiled helplessly. Yi really had the mentality of a child. With just a glance, Bailey Hongzhuang discovered that there were many precious treasures in this stall. If she had wanted to find such a treasure in the past, she would have had to rack her brains. However, there were so many of them here. It had to be said that the resources in the upper realm were much more abundant than those in the lower realm. However, after seeing the D family's vault of resources, she was no longer amazed by these things. After visiting more than a dozen stalls in a row, Lin Yi also saw something that she was satisfied with. She immediately bought it. Bailey Hongzhuang also saw some good things, but she didn't buy them. Although these things were not bad, they were not necessarily needed. Moreover, she didn't have many spirit stones on her. Previously, when she stayed in the family clan, she had been cultivating in the cultivation room and had used up a lot of spirit stones. Therefore, she did not think of collecting spirit stones from the family clan. On the contrary, she collected a lot of spirit herbs. What's more, the price of the things in the upper realm was extremely shocking. She didn't know if she could buy something good with all her spirit stones. If she really came across something that she really needed, she could consider bartering for it. Chapter 4672. Looking in the direction pointed by Lin Yi, sure enough, many people surrounded a stall. There was only one possibility for this situation, that was, an excellent treasure appeared in this stall. As Bailey Hongzhuang and Lin Yi approached, the discussions of the surrounding people also entered their ears. "There's actually a radiant vine here. That's an extremely rare thing." Yes, the value of the light vine is extremely high. It is also something that people compete for at the auction. I didn't expect it to appear in this underground market. However, the personality of this stall owner is also strange. He doesn't collect spirit stones but barters. Until now, no one has been able to come up with something that satisfies him. In my opinion, there will be many people from different forces coming in a while. We can see such a treasure, but we can't fight for it. When hearing the words light vine, Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes suddenly lit up. She didn't expect to see such a good treasure here. Although light vine had the word light in its name, it could be used by cultivators of any attribute. It could improve the attribute power of the cultivator, thereby increasing their perception. However, it was the most helpful to the light attribute cultivator. Increasing the attribute power itself was already very attractive to everyone, not to mention that it could also make the cultivator have a perception. Once the understanding of the attribute power was improved, the combat power would increase rapidly. Generally speaking, such a treasure was definitely at a sky-high price. Most of them would appear in auctions. They rarely appeared in places like the trading market. The most special thing was that this stall owner didn't want spirit stones but wanted to exchange for what he needed. I didn't expect it to be a treasure like the light vine. Lin Yi's eyes also lit up when she heard about this treasure, but then she sighed again. If you want to get such a treasure, it will cost a sky-high price. With my little wealth, it is not enough at all. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. Indeed, to get such a treasure, one had to pay a high price. Since we are here, we are not in a hurry to leave. Let's take a look first. Lin Yi said, "You have the light attribute. In fact, this light vine will be of great help to you." The light vine was the most helpful to the light attribute cultivator. It could even have a certain purification effect. If Bailey Hongzhuang could get her hands on it, her light attribute would definitely improve even more. In fact, Bailey Hongzhuang was also a little envious. Such a treasure would be of great help to her. However, she wanted to see what the stall owner needed. At the same time, she was also thinking about what she could offer in exchange. Please make way. Lin Yi tried hard to walk into the crowd. After all, standing on the periphery, they could hardly see anything. The cultivator who was pushed away by Lin Yi was extremely annoyed. He was about to get angry, but he found that the other party was two beauties, especially the woman behind. She was breathtakingly beautiful. All of a sudden, all of his annoyance disappeared, and he quietly gave up his seat. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled apologetically to the other party, then followed Lin Yi to squeeze in. The man watched in a daze as Bailey Hongzhuang entered the crowd, his mind still in a daze. Soon, the two of them squeezed to the front of the stall, and only then did they see the situation of the stall clearly. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.